All right, folks, welcome to another episode of Liftoff. Today's going to be extra special, so buckle up. For those of you who this is your first time tuning in, a little bit about our show. We love to highlight the success stories of agents and other professionals in our industry to help you, to inspire you, and to keep you pushing forward as your business lifts off to the next level. So without further ado, love to introduce our guest, the lovely and amazing Ben Fairfield. Thanks for joining
That
us.
might be the first time I've ever been called lovely. I like it. I'm going to go with that.
Hey, you know what? I'd like to keep you on your toes.
I like
It's a
it.
first for everything today.
I like it. Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me. You guys are both rock stars. When I came over to Remax 3 years ago, quickly met the two of you. And so it was an honor. As soon as I got asked, it was an absolutely let's do it. So glad to be here and excited to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. You've done a lot to help a lot of people across the whole footprint of Remax. We may get into that a little bit, but you have a fascinating past, how you got to that point. You have some coaching in your background, some big success at other real estate companies, and we're really fortunate to have you at Remax, but we're really especially fortunate to have you today. I know your insights are helpful to broker owners like myself, but also to the agents, the practitioners out there fighting the fight each and every day. And you're really good at systems and intentional thinking and that sort of thing. So I honestly don't want to direct you too much. I'd love to throw it to you. Give some of your thoughts as we roll into 2025, some of your visions, your thoughts of what we can do to inspire our agents to really take advantage of some of the things out there to make sure that they are growing their career this year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah. So 2029, it's actually perfect timing because we're recording this in January. And so we're at the beginning of the year, and I'm getting ready next week to go out and do 3 speaking engagements. And lo and behold, it's a similar conversation, right? We're all wanting to know, how do we jumpstart things in 25, right? The process of building momentum takes a lot of time. And then once we get momentum built, then it's just a process of keeping it going. And so for some agents listening to this, maybe they already have momentum and their conversation needs to be around, how do I keep it going? And for others, maybe they're dead in the water. They haven't done a lot. They don't have a lot going, and they need to figure out how to start pushing that boulder up the hills. So ultimately, I think for me, and I've had a lot of these conversations in the last week, the place I start with is looking backwards, right? Now, the windshield's bigger than the rearview mirror on purpose, right? Because we're looking forward, we're going forward, we're not going back. But looking back can give us some good context, right? So here's what we know. We know we've come out of a couple tight years. Not bad. Notice I didn't say bad because it's still a better year than a lot of them. I've been in this 20 years, and I remember years where agents' cars were being repossessed out of the parking lots, and those were bad years. This wasn't a bad year. These weren't the bad couple of years. They were just more difficult than what some had been used to, right? Because we all know post that pandemic, the market was overheated and it was not normal, but a lot of people got in and that became their norm. Perspective is our reality, right? And so compared to that, these were tough years, the last couple of years. And so what I know to be true, and where I think I'd love to start here, what's on my mind, and I share this with everybody I've been talking to, is that the next level, the next year, this next season of your career is always going to require the next best version of you, right? And so we can come up with all the tools, all the things, all the systems, all the slogans, like all the stuff, but it's not going to matter until we all get right up here, because that's where it all starts. We have to figure out, how do I level up and how do I adapt? How do I become more agile? Because there's still plenty of opportunity. The great news in our industry is there's never been 1 year where there's not been a home bought or sold. That's phenomenal news. There's always stuff being sold. The question is, how many of those am I going to sell as an agent? Right? So I don't know what your thoughts are there, but that's where I like to start this, is it's really perspective setting. If we're coming into 25 saying, man, it's been a lousy couple of years and it's going to be another lousy year, well, guess what? We find what we seek out. You're going to find a lousy year. However, there's some agents that are going to have their best year ever in 25, and there's some agents, hopefully not listening to this, but maybe some agents who won't last past 2025. It all starts with our perspective. What are you guys' thoughts there?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Ben. And my mind immediately goes to something that I have to give credit where credit's due. I learned from you, which is the acronym TFAR. Thoughts, feelings, actions lead to results. So for those who may not be familiar with that, how would you marry that idea of TFAR into some of the every agent's goal, looking to really keep that momentum or restart that momentum going into this year.
Totally. Yeah. So, and to be completely fair, T. Harv Eker in his book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, that's where this concept comes from, right? And so, practically speaking, I've done a lot of coaching over the years, a little over 11,000 hours of one-on-one coaching with agents and brokers. And here's what I know. The thing we all want to do when we're not getting the result that we're looking for, the immediate thing, the first thing we think to do, the first thing we run to is, you know what? I need to go just do more activity. And the problem with that is more of the wrong activity is not going to get you the right result. It's not going to get you what you're looking for. And so this thought process of this acronym of TFAR, this framework, is we have to go all the way upstream to fix something up here in order to get different results down here. Because we all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over. And yet there's a lot of agents doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Now, they may not be insane, but they're acting like it because they're not changing what they're doing. And so in order to get a different result, we have to look up a level to our actions. But in order to inform our actions, we have to look at what are the feelings, because our feelings are always going to dictate and determine what action we take or don't take, right? So if I'm really discouraged, I'm probably not going to be all pumped up to go do some more lead gen or some prospecting. If I just got yelled at by a customer on the phone, I'm probably not excited to go see if I can talk to 10 more of them in the next 10 minutes, right? So I have to change my attitude. I have to change my thinking. And then that's where that T is, right? So all the way upstream is, what am I thinking? How's my mindset? Because that affects everything downstream from that conversation. So I'll give you a quick example. So right now, and we're going to see this in the news, and I just want to caution everybody, be careful what you put in here, right? So here's a headline I'm willing to bet you're going to see in the next 2 weeks. I don't have any inside baseball knowledge, but you can check me on this and see how this comes out. But we know the fact is, we just got this data because I'm sharing some of this data with the talks I'm doing this next week. Fact is, right now, home builders are sitting on a bigger inventory of built homes since 2010.
Yep.
That's a fact. Now, in some markets, that's more prevalent than others, but nationally speaking, home builders today are sitting on more inventory of newly built, non-sold properties, units, than they have since 2010. I just want to stop there really quick. Now, there's two ways we can process this. One is, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Look, there's a crash coming. It's going to be disaster. There's going to be a bunch of builders going out of business. Or we can give it proper context and say, hold on, let's also think about the fact that we are still dramatically undersupplied. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are estimating we're about 1 million household units underformed in terms of homes being purchased because of affordability and inventory and everything else. So is it a negative thing that they have all this inventory, or should we look at that maybe as a positive thing and say, hey, this could be a path out of this difficult market? But it all comes back to how we think.
Right. That's well said. Yeah, if you come from an absolute zero and you go up and a bunch, you still have a bunch to go.
Absolutely. And then again, the demand is always out there. It's only growing. It's not gone away. Right. We're just in a really funky time. That's the one thing I will say. My one pet peeve that drives me flipping bonkers when I hear people say this is, oh, this is just like that time. We've never seen a time like this in real estate before. Right. That's one of the beautiful things about this business, how chaotic and crazy it is, and it's never the same. We've never been in a position where the values are holding even though supply is down and rates are incredibly high. It's like the weirdest combination we've seen, at least in my 20 years doing this. But yet here we are and prices are still holding. Now, that's not good or bad, but it is all about how do you choose to interpret that? What story are you telling yourself? Because that then reflects to the story you're telling your consumers. And if you're telling your consumers that, oh man, this isn't good, man, it's a tough market. Yeah, it's really been a challenging market. Guess what? They're going to start pulling back. They're going to start adopting your thought process. It reminds me of a quick story. I don't know if you guys have heard this one, but there were 2 shoe salesmen that got sent to this island. And they were never been here before. They went to reach these tribes. They wanted to sell shoes. And 2 salesmen, same company, they go there and they see that all the villagers are there. They don't wear shoes. And the first one calls back and he's, hey, you know what? Calls the companies, get me a ticket home. This is ridiculous, waste of time. Nobody here wears shoes. And the second shoe salesman, separate conversation with the company, says, send me all the inventory you have. Best news ever. Nobody here wears shoes yet. Send me everything you got. This is an amazing opportunity. Same environment.
Right.
Two different perspectives, right? So success in 25 for agents is absolutely going to come down to how do you perceive what the market's doing right now? What's your thought on opportunity in the market? There's plenty of people out there that want the easy money, yet the path of opportunity is always through how do I help more people? And so if you align your thinking that way, you look for the opportunity inside of the hand we've been dealt. There are agents who are going to help lots of families, make lots of money, and build great careers. And there are other agents in the same market who will find a different career by the end of this year because they won't make any money. Same opportunity, unequal reward.
Right. For a long time, really all time, but particularly more and more through the years, the way to build a robust business is to establish and nurture relationships. And the better you do that at adding to your relationships and adding value and touching them in ways that are effective and build top of mind awareness and value in their mind, you win. Are you seeing some of that out there? Are you finding that some people are leveraging that better than others and it's making a difference in their career?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So, and I give credit to Jared on this too. So Jared James is the one that said recently, he said, we're the only industry that calls them past clients.
Yeah.
We don't have past clients. We have clients. Now, these are clients that did business with us in the past, but it doesn't mean that's where that relationship stops, right? So this business is built on the backbone of relationship. And it's not a matter of looking for a deal. Deals are easy to find, but we all see it. The number of agents that get into the industry and then get out very quickly. They aren't looking long-term. They're not looking to help people in that same way. They're looking for a quick deal. They're looking to make quick money because of what we do is easy, right? We're all just go out on the golf course and hang out and then the money just shows up in our account. No, but that's the perception. And so they get in for the wrong reason and then they get out. But those who understand this is a process, not an event. This is a long play, but you have the ability with very little capital outlay to build something that can pay you handsomely while allowing you the opportunity to impact countless numbers of people. It's a pretty incredible opportunity. But as such, we have to work it like it's that opportunity. We have to really pour into it if we expect to get something out of it, right? And that reminds me of a Jim Rohn quote, and I'm a huge Jim Rohn fan. But he said, success is something you become, not something you get, right? So the process for agents, in my opinion, like your success in this business is a process of who you choose to become and who you intentionally work to become. Not success isn't something you just wake up one day and you're on TV and you're making $1 million. I don't know. Maybe that happens once in a while. That's not real life, though. That's not true. That's not the norm. The norm is like the iceberg, right? It's 80% below the surface that no one talks about. It's not sexy. It's the blood, sweat, and tears. It's all the stuff below the surface. And all we see on the outside is the 20% sticking above. But it's a process of becoming. Success is who I become, not what I get. And when I become more successful and I'm leveling up, all of a sudden I'm creating a vacuum behind me. Right. And so when I'm becoming better, when I'm leveling myself up, I'm creating room to bring others with me on this journey. And then I start attracting others because we don't get who we want. We get who we attract, and we attract who we are. Right. So who are we becoming? And if you want better clientele, if you want better relationships, if you want better people in your circle, then it starts with you. You got to get better. Right. Like attracts. And so, again, not to get too airy fairy, but that's really where 25 starts in my mind because there's tons of opportunity. I don't care what market you're in. There's massive opportunity in 25, and it's going to be missed by a lot of people because they're looking for a quick hit, a quick win, right. And they're not starting with themselves. They're looking out to see what can be handed to them instead of doing the hard work that starts here, and then all of a sudden doors start opening.
Right.
Yeah, I love that too. And what jumps out to me is when you were talking about how perception is reality. And thinking back to that iceberg analogy you were giving, when somebody's maybe listening to this and thinking, I really relate to that, but that 80% below the surface is really overwhelming. And I don't even know how to begin chipping away at some of that stuff or doing that hard work to begin changing and becoming that success. What are some practical tips that you could give to somebody who's asking, how do I begin making that effort consistently to become that success that I want to see outwardly manifest?
Yeah, absolutely. So we all start from a different point. That's the beauty of this world is we're all unique creations. We all have different strengths and abilities and talents naturally. Here's the good news, though. no one is born a natural leader. No one is born gifted in all areas. And so the good news is all of those things can be learned. And so where we start probably depends on you. And so this is where I would suggest agents listening to this, reach out to the two of you, right? Find a coach, find a mentor that can really speak into you, because oftentimes we lie to ourselves better than we lie to anybody else. So we often choose not to see things that are right in front of us because it's too painful, or we don't love that side of us. So we don't love the fact that we have a flat spot there. But maybe someone objectively that does care about us can give us perspective and give us some insight. And maybe here's where you would start. Here's what might serve you best to start here. But then it comes down to, because the thing that kills me too is when I hear this all the time from people, well, that's great. I believe all that. And I just don't have time. Yeah, BS, you don't have time. Let me see the activity report on your iPhone. I'll show you plenty of time. Like, none of us have enough time. It's how we choose to spend our time. And time is our most valuable commodity. You can't make more of it. Right. We could all lose everything. God forbid, but we could all lose everything tomorrow and we could go and make money again. We can't make more time. It's the one thing we can't do. And the problem is we treat time and hold it loosely like we do our money and a lot of other things, unfortunately. And it's just slipping away. Right. So whether you're watching this and you're 17 or 700, it doesn't matter. That the best time to start is yesterday. Second best time is today, right now. But you got to start somewhere. Right. And so it comes down to, what are you putting in? And what are you feeding yourself? Are you watching news all the time? Are you playing games in a drone on your phone all the time? What are you putting in there? Because those seeds sprout and move you on this path of growth.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the frustrating things that I come across quite often is we're all looking for that silver bullet, easy way. You go to Instagram, if you go through feeds, it's rife with people offering the best SEO and the bulletproof way to make a lot of money passively without having to do a thing. And the leads just going to roll on through to your inbox, and all you have to do is call them. They're going to lay down and list the house with you. But we all know that just really doesn't work long term. But one of the things that come across a lot is the whole field of marketing. I need better marketing. And I will ask an agent, what does marketing mean to you? And unfortunately, what a lot of times they say is someone that can help me just design and do a postcard that I can send out and brand me and make it look real good. But as someone who's done this for 40 years and walked the walk of an agent and done that kind of marketing and everything else, more and more, it's less effective. And without putting action behind that, you really just waste your money and lying to yourself that this is going to make, you're going to send out 100 postcards and 10 people are going to call and ask you to list their home.
So we've got a phrase for that. Can I share with you what that is?
Yeah.
The reason I was guilty of this too, so I'm not throwing rocks at anybody. I was guilty of this too. As a new agent, I spent the first month making my business cards and making my postcards and making my listing presentation. Guess how many presentations I actually did in that first month? 0. I was getting ready to get ready, right? And what I know to be true for me, and I believe it's true for everyone listening to this, we do those things because we're avoiding doing the thing we need to do most. It's prospect avoidance. We're hiding behind busy work instead of running towards the productive work, right? What's amazing, and you guys have been in this business a long time. For me, I have very rarely ever actually gone through a listing presentation, printed or digital, right? Now, there may be points I go to a specific page, but very rarely when I'm successful on a listing, I'm not going through page. They're not grading me on my artistic ability, my graphic design, right? They're not hiring any of that. They're hiring me. It's a relationship business. And so for somebody wanting to really kickstart, maybe find that momentum, we have something that we suggest our folks do that we work with called 30 cups of coffee in 30 days. So if somebody's listening or watching this, I think it's probably the number one thing I would do if someone's, hey, how do I get this business rocking and rolling in 25? I don't have a lot of money to invest or choose to. I don't have a bunch of fancy things. How can I get this ball rolling? It's 30 cups of coffee in 30 days. It's really simple, right? So we look at our whole database, and you've all heard this, I'm sure, too, but people say, well, I don't have a database. And I'll say, baloney, pull this out. Right? And I go to their contacts. You scroll all the way to the bottom, and it's 4 million people. There you go. That's your database. Now your job is to take 30 days and go guerrilla warfare style and go gather the information so that you can reach out to them and provide them value on a regular basis. And so 30 cups of coffee in 30 days is identifying who would the 30 most influential people be that I know in my world, in my proximity, who are likely the 30 most influential, meaning they're in the community, they know a lot of people, they have a big following, they're trusted, they share the same values that I do. Who are those 30 people? And then I'm going to call and say, hey, you know what, Keith, I would love to buy you a cup of coffee. I've got some exciting stuff going on in my world, and I'd love to hear about what's going on in yours because I think this is going to be a great year. When can we get together?
Right.
Now, here's the key. When I sit down for that coffee, I'm not going to vomit my stuff all over them. I'm going to ask about them.
Correct.
And I'm going to say, Keith, tell me, how's the family? How was your holiday season? What's in store for 25? And how can I help you build your business in 2025? Yep. Now, guess what Keith's going to do at that point? Keith's going to tell me. He's going to talk about his business and what he does and how I could refer to him. Whatever his business is, it doesn't matter. Right. And okay, he's not in sales. Great. Maybe it's a teacher at a school. How could I help support you in your class? Like, I don't care what it is. Find a way to come from contribution. How can I help them? What happens almost every time is when you start there, guess what Reciprocity says they'll do to you? They'll ask you the exact same thing back. And now all of a sudden, I'm not pushing anything on anybody. I'm just creating the path of opportunity and I'm choosing to step into it. So now I'm going to have the conversation that they just asked for. I'm going to answer their question and I'm going to tell them, hey, I'm getting my real estate business fired up. I'm really looking to grow and expand it this year. Or if you're new, I'm starting, insert here, whatever's appropriate, right? But here's what I would love to ask of you. I would love to ask of you because I know you're really an influential person. That's one of the reasons I'm here with you. I want to help you grow your business. I would just hope and ask that this year, if when you hear somebody talking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, that you would consider giving me a call and letting me know so that I can reach out to them and make sure that they get a great agent to support them regardless of the outcome. Now, that's a pretty simple conversation, but you think about it, if I just set out 30 days, 30 people, I guarantee you're going to get some business from 30 days and that strategy and those conversations. You're going to meet other people. You're going to add people to your database. There's lots of stuff that comes from that. And you're not stuck in the office pretending that you're a graphic designer when you're not. You're getting into the path of opportunity. You're putting yourself out there. You're having the conversations. You're asking for the trust, the referrals, and the opportunity, and you're off to the races.
And you'll be so fired up from the sheer fact that you'll have so much caffeine in you. You'll have the energy.
That's right. Decaf is okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't procrastinate like me and wait to have 30 cups of coffee in one day at the end of the month because you didn't hit your goal. And so
But I think it is prospect avoidance, guys. Like I really do. I think oftentimes it's not a lack of knowing what to do. It's that we either don't know how or we're afraid to step out and do the things we know we need to do. Right. So this does not have to be complicated. You do not have to be icky, gross salesperson with these people. You're looking for who can I help? And what we know, this is probably not a popular opinion on one of these shows. I'm sorry, not sorry. But the truth is there's a lot of morons in this business. The path to entry, the bar is really low. And so there's a lot of people that I wouldn't trust to invest a stick of bubble gum, much less my house. Right. So you have an obligation, in my opinion, to go, if you care about these people, you have an obligation to be out there asking them, who can you help? Because if not you, there's a chance they could get the person that would trip over the bubble gum and not be able to help them. That's doing them a disservice by not putting yourself in the path of being able to help them, to be able to guide them. I'm not saying you're going to get a deal every time. Half the time I'm telling people, I don't know about you guys, in the last 6 months, I just refer everything now. I too much going on to buy and sell, but I still have meetings and I still get phone calls. Half of the ones the last 2 months, I told them, you know what? I wouldn't do anything just yet if I were you, because they asked my opinion. That's me in integrity, telling them what I actually believe based on their circumstance. Mm-hmm. Right? But guess what? Those conversations lead to other people who are ready to take action because I'm demonstrating and I'm not just out for the paycheck. I don't have commission breath. What I want is what you want. I'm out for your best interest, regardless of whether that means I get paid today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now. I'm offering to help you and to guide you and to consult you. But guess what, guys? That doesn't matter if we're not out talking to enough people. We got to get out there and we have to make that known to everybody in our world. That's our heart. That's our mission. And that's what we're here to do.
And the more you do it, the more you enjoy it, the better you get at it, the more often you'll do it because you are good at it and you are adding value and you're getting reinforcement.
Correct. And then you don't have to do the cold calls, which probably is not a great idea anyway with all the TCPA stuff, right? You're not having to do the icky, gross lead generation that a lot of us hate anyway. This is fun. I'm meeting with people I actually want to see. I'm choosing to build a business with people that I enjoy. Like, that's amazing, but people will avoid all of that and go knock on doors of strangers because they're afraid of this conversation. They'd rather go talk to strangers they don't know and have a much smaller conversion rate. It makes no sense to me. But what's old has become new again. And the thing that hasn't changed is it's a relationship-based business. And as the market cycles, you guys have seen a number of these as well. We come right back to the tried and true, the stuff that never changes, never goes out of style, never loses its gusto, is belly to belly conversation, offers of help, and asking for referrals. That's where it's at.
That's right.
That's right on the money. And I think that, back to your point earlier, I think people will avoid having those conversations with people that are in their sphere or in their database, right? Because there's a risk of rejection, and we avoid that pain. It may feel a little bit more comfortable to knock on a stranger's door and be like, well, was uncomfortable to have them slam it on my face, but at least it's not somebody that knows me and I have to see them at a family gathering or something like
Correct.
that. So I think that there's a reality to address. That fear is something that may come up. So maybe for somebody who's saying, okay, I understand this is what needs to happen. When that negative self-talk comes in, how would you encourage somebody in that place as well as they're getting started?
Okay, so I just had this with somebody Tuesday of last week. So true story. Here's exactly how I handled that. I asked the person. I said, "Okay, so you're afraid to have this conversation with this person. This person was in same thing in their sphere, close to them, attached a couple different ways." And push came. They're trying to deflect. It came down to yes, that's exactly what it is. I don't know what to say. I'm afraid of that going wrong. I'm afraid of that conversation. He said, "Great. Then let me ask you. Let's pretend where they live, right?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, they live over blah, 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 blah." I said, "Great. So let's pretend you drive by their house and you see somebody else's for sale sign in front of it. How does that make you feel?"
Not so good.
And they go, "Well, I don't like that." I'm like, "Well, that's what's going to happen if you don't get over yourself. Suck it up, buttercup. Go make the call, have the conversation. You care about them more than that yahoo whose sign is in the yard that you just visually saw. Don't allow that to happen, but it's your choice. I can't make you do it. It's your choice, but that's what it costs you by not doing what you know you need to do. Figure out a path forward, make it conversational. 9 times out of 10 in those situations, we're in our head. We're thinking too much about it. Don't forget, this is just a person on the other side of the phone. This is 2 people having a conversation. We do it all the time, every day. But for some reason, we get into these situations, we nerve ourselves up, and we tell ourselves these stories that never come true. Just relax. Have a conversation. Remember that you're there to help them. It's not about getting a deal. You aren't letting them see that it's deal over their success. Their success is the most important thing. And that will come through if that's true with who you are. That's part of your integrity. Have the conversation, because it's only going to cost you by not having it. And it potentially puts them in a path of working with a less talented agent and an agent who cares less about them than you would.
I think we ought to ditch the term prospecting and call it conversating or something, or friend calling.
Yeah, it's so true though. That's the deal. Like I think our industry has mechanized a lot of this stuff, and it's made it so cold. Some people have forgotten the fact this is a relationship based, but these are human beings. They're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But if I genuinely care about them, then my job is just to go have as many conversations with those kinds of people as I can every single day. And that's undefeated. That will never be beaten in this world. There's no website, algorithm, tool, social media. Nothing will beat that. And I'm not saying some of the other stuff isn't good. Some of that stuff is useful in staying in communication with those people. But at the base core of your business, the foundation of your business, 30 cups of coffee, 30 days, I've not seen anything work better than that in terms of lighting that fire. It makes me think of a quote, John Maxwell. I'm also a big fan of his. Mm-hmm. And he said, life's like a 10-speed bike. Most of us have gears we never use. Right. And so I think back to watching my kids get their first multiple speed mountain bike before. Right. And they're in that low gear and they're just running around the circle. And I'm like, guys, shift. But it was uncomfortable because they'd never shifted before. They're like, oh, no, I'm just going to stay in this gear. And they're just like pedaling and their feet are going this fast. And I'm like, guys, just shift. Go into a different gear. Find a different part of yourself. Grow a different skill set, right? All of it comes back to 25. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. But it starts by who are you becoming? That's what's going to dictate the success you find, right? You get yourself aligned on the beginning of the year. You do the right activities. You'll make whatever money you want to make because you're moving in the right direction. You're putting yourself intentionally in the path of opportunity.
When you say 30 cups of coffee in 30 days, I know there's a lot of people out there right now going, I can't do that. That can't be done. 30 cups of coffee, that's like a cup of coffee every day. No, you can do 2 in one day.
Oh yeah.
But it reminds me of when Derek was in one of your trainings and you threw down a challenge that he had to talk to, I believe, 10 live contacts a day for a period of time. And he was like, that's impossible. They don't answer the phone. And it goes to voicemail.
All the reasons, right?
I can't do it. I can't do it. Guess what? He did it.
Yeah.
And it was really a monumental time for Derek because it not only brought fruit, but it proved to him that he could do it. And once you accomplish something, that sense of accomplishment helps you then do it again and repeat it and bust through those bad habits, create new ones, stop that insanity doing the same thing, create new habits. So I think that 30 cups of coffee in 30 days, simple, doable, and we all will agree it will be effective. If you get one opportunity, it's one more than you wouldn't have gotten.
Heck yeah, and you're planting seeds, right? I think that's the other thing too that agents miss a lot of the times is they're expecting instant gratification. We live in a Pop-Tart society. We want everything yesterday and today'd be fine if we have to wait. That's not the real world, right? So this 30 cups of coffee, you're not just worried about the deals this month. You're planting seeds for deals 3 months from now, 2 years from now. Like you're planting seeds, scattering them along the path all along the way, so that when you come back through again, you'll start to harvest because you sowed, right? The problem is we don't throw out any seed and then we sit in our office drinking the crappy free coffee at the office, wondering why no one's coming in and asking us to do them the favor of listing their home. That's not how this works, right? So it's intentionally, consistently putting out those seeds, planting those seeds, having the conversations. That's how momentum is built. And then it gets to a point where it feels like they're coming to you, right? But it's not, that didn't just happen. You did it, but it was delayed gratification. And I think what you talked to about with Derek, and I watched that, I remember that clearly. And it's one of my favorite parts in working with people is when they take something that at one time was their ceiling and it becomes their floor, right? We have this one thing that we thought was just never going to happen. And then all of a sudden, guess what? Everything was impossible until somebody did it. So then all of a sudden we accomplish it. Now that becomes our floor and there's another ceiling above us, like going up a ladder. But that's the growth process, and that's the fun thing, because now we proved to ourselves time and time again, we're capable of way more than we thought possible. We're capable of way bigger things than we give ourselves credit for. The problem is most of us just don't start. We're just getting ready to get ready. It starts one place. And last thing I'll say on this is this, guys, to your point as well, Keith, the thought process for this 30 cups of coffee, a couple tips. I would find one location and I would have them come to me. Learn from my experience, the wrong decision. I was trying to go all over town to all these different places. It burned me out. It was stressful. It was no good. I found one place where I got to know the wait staff. I had one place where I could have my card with them at the front and the tab was open all day. And they knew anybody that came to sit with me. I didn't have to go through the shuffle of, no, I'm paying. No, you're paying. No, it's done. I invited you. I'm paying. But the process is they're coming to me. It's much more efficient. So I was doing 4 to 5 a day.
Yeah.
Right. When you're brand new, I promise you, you don't probably have much else to do. There's nothing better you could do than put yourself in this position. So I was doing 4 or 5 a day. But here's the key. And this is a mentor taught me this a long time ago. He said, map out your 30 and then see who in those 30 would benefit from knowing each other. And so then when I was setting up those coffees, guess what? If I needed to introduce person A to person C, I would stack them back to back. So that when person C comes in, A is just leaving, and I could say, oh, by the way, you guys, do you know each other? No, you guys should, because this is this person, he does this, and this is this person. I think you guys could actually get to know each other and benefit each other maybe too.
That's brilliant.
So now not only am I helping that person, but now I'm the connector helping them meet other people. Like there's no lose. And oh, by the way, the people at the restaurant or the coffee shop know your name because you're in there all the time. It's just the whole thing is very polished, professional, strategic, and it's super efficient. So 30 sounds like a lot, but you do 4 to 5 a day very intentionally. You can have this done in a couple weeks, and then you get hooked. I'm just warning you. Then you get hooked, and you'll want to do this again and again, and it becomes a really fun way to generate business.
And while you're not doing the dopamine pleasure seeking, got to have it now, you're building the serotonin happiness long term. I can assure you, do that consistently in 3 months, you're going to get one that go, you know what? Ben, I'm not interested. It's so funny you mentioned though, but neighbor next door is thinking about selling, and I know they're moving to blah blah, and let me introduce you there. So
Correct.
the more you do it, then you do get one of those that's, oh yeah, it's like a second generation that you probably wouldn't have got otherwise.
Exactly right. And then you've started momentum building and you're off to the races, right? But it all starts there. We got to put ourselves in that position to have opportunity right in front of us.
All of a sudden, I'm craving coffee. Let's go.
This has been sponsored by Fill in the Blank Ring. Well, Ben, I don't want to take more of your time. I'm very grateful to have the amount of time that we've had with you. Any parting thoughts? Maybe it's something related to what you've already said, or maybe it's something to cap things off. What do you want to leave people with who are, again, wanting to take all of this and start to put it into practice?
I think of another one of my mentors, Zig Ziglar. He has a quote that is just great news for me, a boy from Idaho. This is great news for anyone listening, but especially for me. He said, it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude.
Right.
So it's attitude is going to be everything in 25. Now, here's what you have to be a ninja in your office, because I don't care what office you're a part of. There's going to be Debbie Downers. There's going to be the negative Nicks that are going to sit around a water cooler with the coffee and talk about how bad the market is. And the problem is, if you hang out with those people too long, you'll start to sound just like them. So we've got to be absolute ninjas in the sense of protecting where we spend our time, what we're putting in here, and who we're allowing to be around us. And when you put those blinders on, you keep focused on your mission, you put yourself in the path of opportunity. 25 could be your best year ever, but it's going to require intention. It's going to require you very purposely pruning out some of the people around you, pruning out the conversations, pruning out what you're taking in. And when you do that, you make as much money as you want, because you'll be able to help as many people as you choose, because there's always enough demand. It's just missed by a lot of people.
Well said. Thank you so much.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much.
Can't wait to see you soon.
All right, Ben, you take care. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Stay tuned for next time.